Mr. Terminal here, and I am starting a new course on G Suite. This is going to be a very short and a beautiful course, and it will complete all aspects of G Suite administration. For those who don't know what this is, I would give you a brief introduction. For those who do know, uh, let me tell you, your every single point inside G Suite administration would be covered, and we would be able to master this. All right, and I would share all possible insights recommended from Google. This is a Google project, so they have their own documentation on how things are supposed to happen and performed in steps they have recommended. Of course, things may vary differently according to scenarios and your clients and whoever you're working for, maybe for your own organization, if you're looking towards moving towards G Suite. So I will be dealing with all of the problems that you might face, but this isn't going to be a long video because the way I see it, it's made up of little details from many aspects instead of learning to do one big thing from one aspect. So we are going to cover all of them in separate videos, so people who are looking to just solve one of the problem can just directly hop onto that. That's the idea. Without any delay, let's begin. What is G Suite? Our very basic definition: it's a group of services Google provides, and even if you don't own a G Suite, you use a lot of these services in day-to-day life. You already have, but for an organization, these are much more demanding. Your emails won't be in thousands; it might cross 500k or something like that. In an organization, it could be a lot more. So all these resources in an organization are used in much more depth, and of course, Google charges you for that a very reasonable price, to say the least. And all this is managed for an organization in a very clean and a beautiful infrastructure. I have worked with other suits, and this is the most clean of them all. And no, Google did not sponsor me. This is my honest opinion. They have really a robust infrastructure, and moving towards G Suite really eases the life for any organization. And yeah, so now you have a fair bit of idea what G Suite is. You see some of the services. This is some of it, but of course this is not all of it. This is just the most used ones, especially the mail and the calendar. This is the crucial one when it comes to migrating. That takes up to our next point. So if you are a client, or you yourself are a new business, it's pretty straightforward to get things done. You need to register yourself for G Suite. We would go through that as well, and just follow the steps, and it's easy, nothing to do. But where does a G Suite administrator come in? It happens when your organization is already on some other suite. They don't even call it suite for that matter. Is on some other organization who manages their email, and calendar especially, or the drives and their sheets and everything. It could be Microsoft, IBM, and all etc. I'm not naming names. It could be anything. And you want to migrate. Now that is not an easy task as it sounds. You simply cannot create G Suite and ask everyone to just move on. No, you have existing data there, you have existing stuff going on there. So that's where a process comes in. That's where an administrator needs to jump in and say, hey, this is how it's going to happen. So there is no disturbance in the ongoing process and ongoing culture that a company is going through or an organization is going through. So the Migration is very smooth. That's where the administrator is needed to make sure everything is going smooth. So in this video we're going to highlight 3 things, but there is a lot more to it, but in this video I'm going to talk about 3. Coexistence is the very thing I just highlighted. There is a huge possibility that you will need to coexist with whatever the system your organization or the organization you're working for already has. So when you start to migrate to G Suite, you start working on G Suite, you will need to take steps how you're going to do that. So one likely scenario is, and best recommended process is, you start moving people, the admins first. So the whole company is working on the legacy one, and then admins start moving on here, and they help to set up the infrastructure, the meetings, the calendars, and the migration of emails, and they can help with that while the organization is working on their old system. Once all that setup is done, then you go live in, you decide a day, this is the day we are going to go live, and that's when it's done. So this is practical only for small organization, if it wasn't obvious so far. So only small organizations can do that. For large organizations, this is not really practical. They need a lot more time, and it can take months for a large organization to move to G Suite. And to make sure the entire process is smooth, there are steps to be followed. So even in that case, the step 1 is going to be same, which is move the big guys first. Move the big guys, or you can call admins first. I don't like this. Why is it? Yeah. Move the admins first, right? Let me open docs. So we move the admins first, or the human resource first, so they know how to manage, and then you move sections of the organization. So you can move some department first, so all their meetings, their calls, their contacts are all added, and then ask them not to use their old system, seize it. So there is no overlap at all, because that can cause huge problem. There should be no overlap. That is the most important function of administrating G Suite migration. You cannot afford that. So, and the most thing that overlaps is the calendar, the meetings. Contacts, maybe not. You can add them. If you miss them, you can add them later. It's not a challenging issue moving your contacts, but it's the calendar issue, the meetings. So you're moving from Microsoft, you already have meetings set on Microsoft Meetings, and you want to move it on G Suite, and you're doing both of them, so that can really be messy. So for this purpose, Google does provides calendar connectors, and what calendar connectors are doing is migrating. If you don't know how to use the calendar connectors, don't worry, you will go through it. They migrate the data. Well, not migrate. Migrate won't be a nice word. Use the data from your existing system and integrate it to Google G Suite, right? So whatever your meetings are, you can use calendar connectors for this purposes. So all of them are going to show up on your G Suite calendar, Google Calendar as well. They are still there. So this is something Google does not recommend. This should not be our approach. You can use it, some may like it that way, that they want to use them both simultaneously, the old system and the new system. That way you will be forced to use calendar connectors. But this is something Google does not recommend because it is messy. It is quite obvious why it is messy. So if you are I am a worker at an organization, and I have a meeting in Microsoft Meeting as well, and as a G Suite as well, and I have started using both. So how do I know which one would be the people on, right? So that can be an issue. That's just one scenario. There are multiple problems that you can occur. Even if you tell everyone we are using G Suite now, mistakes can happen. Someone can always be left misinformed. So this is not recommended. Although this does work, and in some scenarios have to be implemented, hence the existence. Once that is done, then if you cannot do that, then yeah, the best way is move the departments, as I mentioned, sections of departments or section of people that work together, move them to G Suite. So all of their meetings are on G Suite, all of their calendars are matched up to G Suite, all of their emails have gone to G Suite, and that's the best approach of migrating. So they completely stop using the old system and migrate completely to G Suite. That's the approach of it. So that's my last point. Don't double book resources. That's why we are going to make sure that people are not using both of them, and they don't have dependencies. An organization is a complicated thing. So even if you move a couple of people, you cannot say that they cannot completely use the other old system. So all of the dependencies have to be moved. So all the people they talk to, all the connections they have, all the contacts they have, all the emails they need, everything has to be moved in sync, in a chain. So you need to take care about the chain. So if user 1 interacts with user 2 a lot and on day-to-day basis, and they interact with user 3, move all of them together. If user 3 is dependent on 4 and you can't afford to use all of them, then just move these 2 first, then this guy, and so on and so forth. Form a chain, understand the organization and start the migration. But it's most likely going to be the admins first, and according to them they will tell you, hierarchy would be there. So CEO, then CTO, and managers, move the managers and their people they manage in a bunch. So that's the easiest way of doing. I have created the video longer than it should have been, but I hope I have covered one of the major issues and how to get along with that. See you in the next video. It's going to be it's mostly theory. We are going to do practical as well, but administration is just mostly knowing what to do. How to do is not really tough in G Suite administration. It's just clicks and or managing stuff. It's pretty simple. It's the approach that you take that's important. That's the key in administration. So we will continue looking into that in the next video. Thanks for watching.